Hi, everybody. Okay, so welcome to the course logistics video. That's the purpose of this video, basically, is um, to go over basically what to expect in this course. So I'll talk about the course syllabus. I'm not going to read through the syllabus line by line, but I'll go over certain aspects of it that I think, I tend to get questions about or tend to be a little bit confusing. I'm going to kind of show you how to navigate through the course Canvas page. I'm going to talk about how much time you can expect to spend on a weekly basis and in total in this course. I'll talk about some of the assignments, and that'll be it basically for the video. Okay, so I should mention right off the bat here that I've been sick for the last few days. I finally felt a little bit better today. By the way, today's May 12th. The course goes live. The course Canvas page, I should say, goes live tomorrow, May 13th. And then the course officially starts Tuesday, May 16th. So I wanted to get this video made, but I was kind of waiting and waiting and waiting until I felt better. Finally, I feel at least a little bit better today. So hopefully I'm intelligibly and coherently explaining the course to you and not just making things more confusing. Again, I don't really feel like myself today, but I'll try and do my best with this video. So kind of bear with me. By the way, I'm in my graduate student office as opposed to my home office, so that's why the surroundings are a little bit different. Okay, so let's start off by talking about, or actually taking a look at the course syllabus. So I'm going to share my screen here. So this is the course syllabus. If you have an earlier copy of the, what I'm displaying on the screen here is the course syllabus that is available on the course Canvas page. That's the syllabus that you want to use. You don't want to use an earlier copy of the syllabus that was, for example, attached to the entry for this course on the ASU, whatever they call it, class schedule, ASU catalog, course catalog, or whatever. So this is the latest updated version of the syllabus. Again, it's available on the Canvas page, so you want to make sure you have access to that as we're beginning our course. So you could see my email is listed there, dschloss@asu.edu. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, please email me at this email. Please don't message me through Canvas. That being said, now that I've said that, I'm sure at least half of the messages I receive over the course of the next 6 weeks will be via Canvas as opposed to via my email. But I'm going to try and direct as many people as possible to my email as opposed to the Canvas messaging system. So let's put it this way. If you want a quicker response, which in most cases you do, then I would recommend just emailing me at dschloss@asu.edu. That's the way to get a quicker, more efficient response from me. Okay. Let me get to the course textbook. Yeah, and we're going to kind of go to different aspects, jump around here, go to different aspects of the syllabus and go to the course Canvas page. So kind of bear with me on that. So the course textbook is Land of Hope, An Invitation to the Great American Story by Wilfred McClay. I think this is a great course textbook. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Let me talk about what I think are some of the strengths of the textbook and also some of the weaknesses. I think any textbook and especially any U.S. history course textbook is going to have certain drawbacks and certain benefits. And the job for an instructor, I think, is to pick one that the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. And I think hopefully I've done that in this case. So a few things about this textbook. So I think first of all, McClay frames his textbook around the concept of the nation. And that's always a big question when you're a historian or a group of historians constructing a U.S. history textbook, right? Especially an early U.S. history textbook. And that's what this course is, early U.S. history to 1865. It's tricky because kind of the point is the nation, right? The creation of the United States, the origins. And so inevitably, when you're talking about early U.S. history, a lot of what you're talking about is pre-United States, right? The United States became the United States only in 1789 with the adoption ratification of the U.S. Constitution. But a lot happened before 1789 that is important to know in terms of the origins of this entity, this national entity called the United States of America. So that's a big question, from a textbook's perspective, or, someone constructing a textbook, is like, how much do you focus on the origins of the United States? How much do you frame your discussion of 17th century developments in 17th century North America, developments in early to mid 18th century North America, and even developments in Europe and other parts of the Americas, going all the way back to potentially the 15th century and even before that? How much do you frame those discussions in terms of, again, like the origins of the United States of America, and how much do you frame it in terms of this is sort of what was happening on this plot of land, right, that eventually became the United States of America? But, keep in mind from the perspective of, so if I am somebody living in colonial Massachusetts in the late 17th century, the United States of America doesn't mean anything to me, right? I see myself as a subject of the British Empire, part of the British Empire, maybe I see myself as a resident of the British colony of Massachusetts, right? But America, the United States of America, doesn't really mean anything to me. So with this textbook, the Maclay textbook, Land of Hope, Maclay definitely makes the decision to frame things disproportionately in terms of the nation. And so the discussion of things that are happening pre-1789, pre-creation of the nation, are framed in large, not exclusively, but in large part around the creation of the United States. So that's something to sort of keep in mind. I think as a result of that, Maclay tends to emphasize political history over economic, social, cultural history. Now, there's certainly overlaps between all these different kinds of history, and Maclay does talk about all the things that I just mentioned: economic history, social history, cultural history. But he definitely centers political history. And again, I think there's certain positives to that, certain negatives, but I think it serves our purposes pretty well, especially in a course that's only 6 weeks long. If you're going to choose what to focus on more than, if you can't focus on everything, if you can't give substantial coverage necessarily of political and economic and social and cultural and religious, if you're going to if you have to pick, I think it's better to pick political history within the context of like a 6 or 7 week course. So that's another advantage, I think, of utilizing the Maclay textbook. I think as a result of Maclay's focus on political history, he tends to also focus on the theme of democratic citizenship and United States citizenship. And I think that fits well with the way I'm conceiving of this course. And I think I talked about that in the first video, if I'm not mistaken. And you could see that on other aspects of my syllabus as well. So certainly I think you can take a U.S. history or any kind of history course, and it can help you gain skills that could have a remunerative aspect to them. Like it could help you in the job market at some point. So that's great. And I think that that applies to this class as well. So it's like useful skills. But I think the reason to take this class and to take it seriously goes beyond just that. I see it as part of my mission in this course and in the other history courses that I teach to basically facilitate democratic citizenship, to help you, the student, become a better citizen in a democratic society. I think Maclay, that's part of Maclay's mission as well with this textbook. And that's another reason why I like to use this textbook, if that makes sense. Lastly, and this is perhaps the best thing about this textbook, so maybe I'm burying the lead, I would say this textbook is very efficient. So it's very concise, and that's very, very hard to do. It's very easy to set out to write a U.S. history textbook, and before you know it, it's 2,500 pages, right? And you still feel like a lot of stuff had to be left on the cutting room floor, right? Had to be taken out. So Maclay is very selective about what he chooses to focus on. He manages to, I think, jam a lot in there in a way that it's amazing how much it makes sense, how many different subjects he's getting to and how they fit together cohesively, and how concise it is. I think that's really, really hard to do. And so, yeah, I think hopefully you appreciate that aspect of this textbook, and it makes it, again, ideal for a short course, a 6-week course like this one. Okay, let's go to, I'll come back to the syllabus. Let me stop my share here. And let's go back to, or let's go, oh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. So here we go. So this is the course Canvas page. You can see the home page. So the best way to navigate the course Canvas page is through the modules tab. I would mostly use that. So I was going to mention the outlines. So take a look at this. So this is module 1, the shaping of colonial America, and outline for module 1. This is going to let you know everything that you have to do basically for module 1. And I have this for all, I have one of these for all 7 modules. So I think this is the best way at the beginning of each module. Best way to kind of, get your bearings as far as what you have to do. When is everything due? Yeah, what are the assignments? When is everything due? What's going on, for that particular module. So you can see for module 1, read Introduction to Chapter 2 in Land of Hope. Watch the module 1 lecture videos. I'll talk about those. Complete the module 1 reading/lecture quiz that corresponds with the Maclay readings. Complete the module 1 primary source questions, and everything is due Sunday, May 21st at 11:50, basically end of the day. Sunday, May 21st. And yeah, let me talk about the way I've set up this course. So there's 7 modules. You may have noticed that there's 7 modules in the course, and it's a 6-week course. So that's going to make things a little bit confusing. Right off the bat, I apologize for that. But I think that for the reasons I'll explain right now, I think that this is actually the better way to go. So ideally, you have a 6-week course and you would have 6 modules, right? And you would have, the main weekly assignments due at the end of each module, which happens to be the end of each week. I think that, ideally that would work well. However, and yeah, certainly doing it this way is going to be confusing. And by the way I've set this up, as I think you'll notice, is there's 7 modules. Each module is 6 days long, right? So the end of module 1 is going to be 6 days from May 16th, the first day of the course. The end of module 2 is going to be 6 days after that, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense. This is going to mean that most assignments are going to be due in a different day. At the end of each module, which again is not totally ideal. I think so that's kind of the negative, right? I think the negative of making this into 6 modules would be that it just doesn't work as well thematically. So having 6 modules, I think, works much better. Sorry, having 7 modules in a 6-week, in this particular 6-week course, I think the positive is that it works much better in terms of historical content. Each module is more thematically cohesive and more intelligible. So I think when you try and jam all this into 6 separate modules, it makes for some odd thematic bedfellows and is a little bit disorienting for the students, right? So, I kind of weighed whether to make this, again, 6 modules to match the 6 weeks. I ultimately decided to keep the 7 modules to go with the 6 weeks, even understanding kind of the negatives of that. And ultimately, what kind of swayed me was the fact that I have essentially everything ready to go. So you take a look at the course Canvas page, and everything that you need, essentially everything that you need for this course, all the videos, all the weekly assignments, so the primary source assignments, the reading/lecture quizzes, even the final essay progress check, the final essay assignment. Essentially everything is ready to go. Starting on day one. So actually, if you want to, you can work ahead. And in fact, I would encourage you, if you have the time and wherewithal and capacity to do that, feel free to work ahead. And then if you get a couple of weeks, a few modules ahead of where we're actually at in the course, then at that point, you can kind of tailor things to fit with your particular schedule, right? That would make it easier for you. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. Again, I think it's a little confusing, but hopefully you'll get the hang of it. Again, it's going to be 6 days for each module, 7 modules as a part of our 6-day course. Oh, sorry, a 6-week course, excuse me. So just kind of keep that in mind. So let me go over the reading/lecture quizzes and the primary source questions. So let's go back here. I think this is pretty straightforward. So basically, yeah, so you want to look at, actually, let me go back. So this is for Module 1, The Shaping of Colonial America. That's the video. I'll get to that in a second. So this is reading/lecture quiz for Module 1. So you click on this, and basically, yeah, this is your first quiz. It's an open book quiz. And basically, it's all of the quizzes are going to look like this. So it's going to be a certain number of multiple choice questions. In this case, it's, I think, 15 questions. You can see there, multiple choice questions. Then you have your short answer section, which is, in this case, 10 questions. I think in this case, 9 questions. I think most other ones are 10 questions as far as the short answer questions. And you'll notice that the questions go in order within the context of the Maclay book. So basically, your first 15 multiple choice questions are essentially going to go in order. Within the context of the Maclay reading, then it's going to kind of start over. In fact, you could see introduction, one long story. It's a few questions from that section. Then you get to chapter 1, beginnings, a few questions from that, or I guess just one question. And then chapter 2, the shape of British North America. And there's a few questions associated with that. Then you could see it says questions from lecture videos. And yeah, these are questions from that module's lecture videos. Make sure you read the question carefully. I should mention that these questions are only, the answers to these questions are really only accessible from the lecture videos. And what I talk about, importantly, let me talk about this for a second. What I talk about in the lecture videos is, necessarily it's going to overlap with the Maclay readings, to a certain extent. I mean, we're talking about U.S. history. We're going to talk about some of the same stuff, right? But it's meant to supplement the Maclay readings, right? It's not meant to replace the textbook, the Maclay readings. And basically, for the most part, I'm spending time on topics. I'm explaining things that Maclay doesn't spend a whole lot of time on. So for example, for Module 1, I'm going to talk a lot about Native Americans within the context of early or basically colonial United States history. And the reason for that is that Maclay touches on that, but Maclay doesn't spend a whole lot of time on that, right? And you can see the first question here. Generally speaking, how did Native American conceptions of society, culture, and economics differ from European conceptions of society, culture, and economics? And by the way, I said this is a 2-point question. Give me a thorough answer of at least 4 to 5 sentences. So you'll notice that on some of these questions, I'll say like, this is 2 points. This is 3 points. I'm looking for for full credit. If you're interested in getting full credit, you need to give me 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 sentences or whatever. But you can see that question deals with Native Americans. And that's what I'm dealing with a lot in the lecture videos for week 1. So again, lecture videos are required to answer these questions at the end of each reading/lecture quiz. You need to watch the lecture videos, listen, take good notes. It's not just going to be accessible from the Maclay readings. So yeah, that's basically the reading/lecture quiz. You're going to have one of those at the end of each module. So there's going to be seven of these. Then at the end of each module, you're also going to have primary source questions. So these are taken from a book called Give Me Liberty, excuse me, by Eric Foner. Primary sources, actually, I'll get to that in a second. Because there's a section on the syllabus where I get in, I talk about exactly what primary sources are. But anyway, basically, these are documents from the past that you're going to read and answer questions about. So pretty straightforward. So, for this first one, it's called The New World. The document itself is called Adam Smith, The Results of Colonization, 1776. So you're going to read this document by Adam Smith. It's a couple of pages. And you're going to answer the two questions at the bottom. So you can see number one, according to Adam Smith, how did the discovery and colonization, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the second question. So basically, you're going to answer the questions at the end of each document. And then I go over, let's go back here. Yeah, so you could see, basically follow the instructions on here. It says, please download the attached file, read the primary source documents and answer the questions that correspond with the following primary source documents. So I'm giving you the specific documents that you're supposed to do. There's 4 documents in this case, starting with Adam Smith, The Results of Colonization, and ending with Aloda Equiano on Slavery, 1789. And then make sure you follow this format. So what I want you to do basically is create a docx file. Essentially a Microsoft Word file or some equivalent to that. Type in your name, the document numbers, document titles, and your answers to the questions, and then upload this to Canvas, right? So if I'm doing this, I would just put my name, Derek Schloss, and then I would start with number 1, Adam Smith, The Results of Colonization, 1776, and then I would write number 1, my answer to number 1, number 2, my answer to number 2. Again, you don't need to write the question. I know what the questions are at the end of each document. Again, there's going to be 2 questions at the end of each document. That's the way this primary source book is put together. And so basically you would do that for the 4 different documents and the 8 questions, and then turn that in to submit that to Canvas. And there's one primary source questions assignment due at the end of each of the 7 individual modules. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about here? Yeah, so let's take a look really quickly at the videos. Yeah, so basically this is how you access the videos. I think for just to let you know, so there's videos for the first 6 modules. I think for all of them, I believe there's 2 different videos. Really, it ends up being, somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. Usually it's, around 60, 70 minutes of me talking about history, basically. So that's kind of what you can expect for each module. And again, these are going to be relevant to the reading/lecture quiz. There's going to be a section at the end of each reading lecture quiz related to, questions related to the lecture videos. So make sure you check those out for each module. Okay, you have a final essay assignment. I'm not going to talk too much about this right now, but let's take a quick look. So if you see final paper, this is under Module 7, the American Civil War, final paper. And you could just click on this, final paper instructions and primary sources. And this is basically your final paper. Your final paper is going to be due a few days before the end of the course, so I have time to grade it. So you can see here, the final paper is going to be due Friday, June 23rd, end of the day, Friday, June 23rd. And basically, it's an analysis. Let's go back here. Actually, sorry. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not going to read through this whole thing, but basically you can see here in boldface, it says for your final paper, you're going to craft a 4 to 5 page essay responding directly to Fitzhugh. Fitzhugh is this pro-slavery writer who was prominent in American political discourse and discourse related to slavery in the 1850s, the lead up to the Civil War. So basically your mission is to, well, first of all, read these writings that I've attached to this document, and he's arguing in favor of slavery. You're going to argue against his arguments, which are, I think, very clever, although disturbing and certainly erroneous. So your mission is going to be to demolish his arguments. This will require much thought and precision. You will need to identify his main points and then proceed to attach their foundational premises. You need to pay close attention to logical fallacies, holes, or inconsistencies in his pro-slavery arguments. Ensure your essay must defend the concept of human freedom. And I've also, so besides the pro-slavery documents by George Fitzhugh, the pro-slavery primary sources by George Fitzhugh, I've given you some anti-slavery primary sources written by, I think one of them is William Lloyd Garrison. There's another one by Frederick Douglass. Benjamin Franklin, I think, has a short document as well that I've attached. So I'm going to, a little bit later, I'm going to post a video, basically a final paper instructions video. I haven't posted that yet, but you can expect that probably in a couple of weeks, where, yeah, I'll talk about kind of the ins and outs of this assignment. But yeah, this assignment is important. This is your final essay. This is your only essay for the course. It's going to make up 25% of your grade. There's another assignment that's related to this assignment, and that's the final essay progress check. You can see that on your screen here. The final essay progress check is going to be due at the end of Module 4, along with the Module 4 reading/lecture quiz and Module 4 primary source questions assignment. And I'll just click on this quickly. Basically, I just want to see that you've made progress on your final essay, right? You don't have to have the essay written by then, but you have to have read at least some of the George Fitzhugh primary source documents, and answer questions about them. And that's basically what this is related to. Okay. So let me talk about, just thinking about what else I want to get to here. Yeah, so just a few things, a few other things to get to, and then I'll let you go. So I'll probably go back to the syllabus. There we go. Okay. So yeah, back to the course syllabus. Again, I would encourage you to read through this on your own. I'm not going to touch on every aspect of it. I mentioned primary sources. This is where I talk about what primary sources are. It says, FYI, primary sources are original documents recorded by people who lived through and experienced a particular time period. Primary documents are the most important sources considered by historians when interpreting and analyzing the past. They are immediate firsthand accounts from people who had a direct connection to the period or event under study. Primary sources include diaries, letters, newspaper editorials, pamphlets, speeches, government records, etc. Yeah, so for these primary source questions assignments, this is what you're doing essentially is the work of a historian. So historians analyze primary documents, right? That's the evidence. That's the primary, evidence that we use. We can't get in a lab and like isolate variables and do experiments like you could if you're a chemist or a biologist, right? So we use documents from the past, diaries, letters, newspaper editorials, pamphlets, speeches, etc., to construct the past. So essentially, that's what you're gonna get a little taste of here. Okay, let me talk about the course time commitment. This is a 6-week course, so that means that you're gonna have to spend a lot of time on this. So I got this off of the ASU website, and I would largely agree with this, kind of with some caveats. Some clarifications, but so ASU says that quote, ASU courses range in length from 6 weeks, like our course, to 15 weeks. And basically, they said below is a breakdown, which I'll get to in a second, of the 135-hour required time commitment for a 3-credit course divided among weeks for courses of various lengths. Yeah, so ASU, their official stance on this is that, you should expect to spend at least 135 hours in a 3-credit course. So this is a 3-credit course. You can expect to spend about at least according to ASU, about 135 hours in total. Now, it's a 6-week course, so that means that you can expect to spend 22 and a half hours per week. Let me repeat that. This is important. So you can expect to spend 135 hours on a 3-credit course, which is what this is. It's a 6-week course. So that means if you do the math, 135 divided by 6, that means 22 and a half hours per week. Now, do I think that literally everyone is going to have to spend 22 and a half hours per week to do a good job in their assignment, to get everything in on time and get a good grade, hopefully an A in this course? No, I don't. I think for certain people, you're going to have to spend, depends on who you are, really, right? I think for certain people, you may have to spend upwards of 20 hours or more a week over the course of the next 6 weeks to put yourself in a position to get a high grade and hopefully an A in this course and turn everything in on time. I do think that certain other people, because maybe they're more familiar with U.S. history, maybe they just they're at a higher level in terms of verbal skills, writing skills. They read faster and retain more of what they read. Again, more of a familiarity with U.S. history and a little better at like kind of quickly and accurately analyzing primary source documents, for example. I think if that's you, then you could get away with less than 22 and a half hours. And I'm sure a lot of students will. So, potentially for some people, it could take you, 9, 10 hours a week, 11 hours, 13 hours, something like that. Again, for other people, it might take you 22 and a half hours or maybe more. It depends on who you are. I would just say that I'm fairly confident that if your idea was, okay, I work 40 hours a week, I have all this, I have all these responsibilities and different things going on. And, I'm going to devote, I'm going to try and finish my assignments during my breaks, at work. And so I'm going to spend maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a week or something like that, working on this. If that's your plan, like I would just say respectfully, that plan is not going to work. You're not going to pass the class doing that. So if that was your idea of, only spending an hour or 2 per week, it's not that kind of class. I would recommend you drop the class before it's too late. But again, depending on who you are, I think, you can get by potentially 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, something in that range. But for some people, it may take longer. So, keep that in mind. I just want to kind of lay that out up front. Okay. Last thing I was going to talk about, or maybe second to last thing, is academic integrity. Let's take a look at the section titled Academic Integrity on the course syllabus. You can see here, let me just read this. All students are responsible for knowing and adhering to the ASU student academic integrity policy. I've given the URL for the PDF, so I encourage you to take a look at that if you want more details about this. It says the university defines plagiarism as, quote, the use of another's words, ideas, materials, or work from the internet or any other source without properly acknowledging and documenting the source, and stipulates that, quote, students are responsible for knowing the rules governing the use of another's work or materials and for acknowledging and documenting the source appropriately, end quote. The university's academic integrity policy also stipulates that, quote, claiming credit for submitting work done by another student or through the unauthorized, not an easy word to say, use of technology, end quote, which I'll talk about, is not allowed. Suffice to say, plagiarism is not permitted in this course, and students caught plagiarizing will receive a score of 0 on the assignment in question and may also receive a failing grade in the course and or have their instance of academic dishonesty displayed permanently on their academic record. So I think that pretty much speaks for itself, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So yeah, plagiarism in a basic sense is not allowed in this course, just to make that clear. Plagiarism refers to, in a basic sense, the use of another's words, ideas, materials, or work from the internet or another source without properly acknowledging and documenting the source, right? So yeah, for this class, you can't just take stuff off the internet and say that it's your own work. pass that off as your own work when it's not your own work. And that brings me to the subject of ChatGPT, AI generated writing, which has thrown a new wrinkle into this whole academic integrity, plagiarism, issue. So basically, if you're not familiar with ChatGPT and the relatively new phenomenon of AI generated writing, basically, so in the last few months, I guess this is 5 or 6 months old to date. Basically, different companies have come out, most prominently ChatGPT, which is a part of the OpenAI platform, has come out with artificial intelligence generated writing. And essentially it can sort of like write an essay for you is the idea. So a couple of things about that. So I do think that it's very interesting. I played around with it. And what I'm about to say is not a statement about I'm not totally against AI generated writing, in the medium or long term. I think there could be, important uses for it, and it could be an important innovation, in the years to come and make things easier for people. Like everyone else, I'm interested. I don't really know where it's going to go. I'm curious to kind of play around with it. But just to clarify, that's not allowed in this course. AI generated writing like ChatGPT, not allowed in this course. That'll be considered plagiarism if you make an attempt to use ChatGPT to write, for example, your final essay. That's considered plagiarism. That's considered just like that's treated just like copying and pasting things off the internet without proper attribution. I should mention as well, Turnitin.com. So when you submit an assignment, it's good to know this. When you submit an assignment to Canvas, it gets run through anti-plagiarism, or basically plagiarism detection software. And the software is through this website, Turnitin.com, that gets done basically checks for plagiarism automatically. So like I don't have to check for plagiarism as the instructor. The website, Turnitin.com, does that automatically, right? And if you're taking something off the internet, they're going to figure it out very easily. And I'm going to know that you plagiarize. So just keep that in mind. Now, Turnitin.com actually just came out with software, basically a capacity to detect AI generated writing that ASU is now utilizing. So if you've used AI to generate your writing, then I'm going to be able to see that. And again, that's going to be considered plagiarism. And basically, in instances of plagiarism, I give you a score of 0 automatically. And depending on, certain other factors, you may put yourself at risk, in that case, to receive a failing grade in the course, either through, getting a 0 on an assignment that was 250 points, like the final essay, or because I'm just giving you an automatic 0 in the course, or you might have that incident of academic dishonesty displayed permanently in your academic record. So suffice to say, all this is to say, don't plagiarize either via, ChatGPT or some other kind of AI generated writing, or just, good old fashioned copying and pasting off the internet. I would say as well with AI generated writing. So I played around with it, and it's, at this point, it's just not that sophisticated. I think it's basically, especially for this FITSU assignment, it's not going to help you a whole lot. If it's very good at at generating sort of Wikipedia style reports where it's like really general information about topics, right? But that's not what I'm asking you to do. If you take a look more carefully at the final essay assignment, so I'm asking you to analyze primary source documents, right? And then give a rebuttal, not from the perspective of someone in 2023, but from the perspective of hypothetically an abolitionist in 1859 arguing in favor of human freedom. AI generated writing, ChatGPT isn't really set up for that. So I think you're wasting your time, and also putting yourself at risk for getting a 0 if you try and use ChatGPT. So use do your own work, basically, is the point here. And you could reach out to me if you have questions about that. Okay, I thought I would end with the course description. Let's read this really quickly. This is on page 1 of the syllabus. This is an introductory course introductory survey, examines the history of the United States from the colonial era through the end of the Civil War. This semester, we will explore the political, cultural, and economic forces that so profoundly shaped our nation's early history. We will focus primarily on thematic periods and events, including the American Revolution, market revolution, plantation slavery, and westward expansion. Throughout this course, we'll encounter well-known public figures as well as unfamiliar figures and ordinary people. Simply put, my goal is to provide you with a solid grasp of the major trends that laid the groundwork for the remainder of American history. And I would just add to that, and I talked a lot about this, I think, in the first video, welcome orientation video, but to hammer this home, my goal in this course, besides what I just mentioned, is to, it's impossible to totally do this, but to the extent that we can, put ourselves in the shoes of the people that lived in the past and see things try our best to see things from their perspective. That's the work of historians. That's that's what historians are trying to do, and that's what we're going to try our best to do in this class. Okay, so if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me again, dschloss@asu.edu, and I look forward to a great 6 weeks. Really looking forward to working with you guys, and yeah, okay, have a good one, guys. See you later. So stop video.